So why did Saudi Arabia buy Newcastle United? Is it because they love Newcastle United and love the Toon Army and just fancied throwing loads of money at the club so it can help us win some trophies? Or is there something else going on? Well, in this video, I'm going to explain some reasons as to why Saudi Arabia have bought Newcastle United, partially based on the insights of Simon Chadwick, who's a professor of Eurasian sport, but also through my own personal research. And I hate to break it to you, but this isn't all about Newcastle United. It's coming up. Hello, my name's Eddie. Welcome to my channel Tyneside Life, and I cover the history, culture and the football of Newcastle and the surrounding Tyneside area. So first of all, I was going to do a video earlier in the week about summing up the transfer window, but this week I've been a bit under the weather. I've had a bit of a flu going on, COVID negative, and I've obviously missed the boat of interest now to do that sort of video. So I'm going to jump onto this video about why Saudi Arabia have bought Newcastle United. So to answer the question about why Saudi Arabia have bought Newcastle United, we'll have to look at Saudi Arabia and what they're all about. Now, I don't have a degree in international studies or geopolitics, but I've been doing some research and I think I have a broad understanding of what's going on, and hopefully this video will help you understand a little bit better. So in 2016, in response to climate change and the obligations on various countries to reduce their carbon emissions, Saudi Arabia have a vision. It's called Vision 2030, so that by 2030 they do not want to be solely dependent on oil for their economy, which at the moment is about 80% of their economy. So over recent years, Saudi Arabia have been heavily looking into ways of supporting their economy through different revenue streams. For example, in international transport shipping, through hospitality and sport and recreation and tourism and renewable energies, just to name a few. And they're using their sovereign investment fund, you'll have heard of this, the public investment fund, which has bought Newcastle United, to not only invest within Saudi Arabia itself on various projects and initiatives and corporations and organisations, but globally as well, to make investments in various projects that will see revenue come back to Saudi Arabia in order to support their economy by 2030. And one of those areas of interest is obviously sport, and in particular football, which can generate huge amounts of money. What Saudi Arabia want to do, they want to kind of invest and build a multi-million-dollar mega sports city, but also raise the profile and standard of the football in Saudi Arabia. So within that particular economic niche of wanting to raise the profile of sport and football in Saudi Arabia, they've had a desire now for a few years to buy a Premier League club, and they see that as an ideal way to achieve that particular objective. And this is where Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund steps in, the public investment fund that has been bought. That's bought Newcastle United, and as of October last year it had an estimated $430 billion in the pot. Well, that's not Newcastle United's, like I just mentioned before. That particular pot is used to invest in projects all over the world, so it's spread out. So Newcastle United are just one section, one little project of Saudi Arabia's public investment fund portfolio. So it's my understanding it could have been Liverpool a few years ago. It may have even been one or two other Premier League clubs that they had a look at, but it ended up being Newcastle United. We just seem to fit the bill. In the modern era, we're not the most successful clubs in the world, but in terms of its fan base, we're a big club. We're high profile, lots of potential, so it really does tick a few boxes. So in some very small part, Newcastle United fits the criteria of strategic significance of Saudi Arabia's national economy. And so basically Saudi Arabia are following the models already gone with Qatar's purchase of Paris Saint-Germain a few years ago and Abu Dhabi's purchase of Man City back in about 2008. So we're probably going to see that we'll follow those models quite similarly. So like I said, Newcastle United are now part of a financial investment, a portfolio for Saudi Arabia and part of their economy. This relationship will be carefully managed, and over the years they're going to steadily raise Newcastle to the top echelon of English and European football. What they're not going to do is gamble their money with Newcastle United. They're not just going to throw money at the club to buy players and keeping their fingers crossed that it'll work out. That's just not going to happen. Just look at Everton, for example. Their new owner bought the club in 2016. In the first 4 or 5 years, they've spent about 566 million on new players, and look where they are now. And if you remember Amanda Staveley's very first interview, she did say that the plan is for Newcastle to be challenging for the Premier League in 5 to 10 years' time. Now 2030 is around about the 8 or 9 year point, so it all fits in with that wider strategic plan for Saudi Arabia that Newcastle will be in the top echelon. There's no plan for that to be a rush for that to be happening over the next 2 or 3 seasons. This is a long-term project. So if you've been wondering why Newcastle made the move to send the team off to a training camp in Saudi Arabia during a crucial part of the transfer window, now you'll probably begin to understand that this isn't about Newcastle United. This is all part of Saudi Arabia's plan to raise their sporting economy. I'm quite certain that Eddie Howe, given a choice, would have preferred not to do that. But we'll probably see more of that. They'll go to Saudi Arabia for training camps. We might even see Saudi Arabian players coming to Newcastle to train and get involved in the local community. If you'd like to see more videos like this and be notified the moment I release the next one, make sure you hit the subscribe button. But the purchase of Newcastle United isn't just about football either. Now that they've purchased a club, a high-profile club in Newcastle, geographically it's significant with the River Tyne, it provides all sorts of opportunities and segues into other markets. For example, wind farms off the northeast coast. Saudi Arabia have a massive container shipping operation going on, and they're looking to expand that globally. The River Tyne could be an ideal opportunity to build a container port there. The River Tyne does accommodate deep water container ships, so we could see more like the one at Blythe, like a huge gigafactory being built. But also because of the relationship and the ownership that we have already with Jamie Rubin, and in the property world, we could see some linking up with Saudi Arabia making property investments in Newcastle. We could see a property and housing boom over this next decade or so. And I hate to say it, whether we like it or not, and I could be wrong, but I've got very little doubt that in a few years' time they'll be looking to build some sort of super stadium with training facilities and academies and women's facilities and stadiums, all in very close proximity, somewhere probably 4 or 5 miles outside the city centre. And that's just an opinion. I know it's very controversial. That's just where I think this is probably heading, because a new super stadium does provide other revenues for income and for their economy in terms of tourism and creation of jobs, etc, etc. So are we the richest club in the world? No, we're not. Not as far as I can see. We're a rich club and we have lots of money to spend, but we're not the richest club in the world. That implies that we kind of have this huge pot of money that we can just throw at players in order to get the team up the league. Well, that's like I said before, that's probably not going to happen. We're also governed by the regulations and policy of the financial fair play system. It's really quite complicated, and although there's some financial leeway, it was broadly set up for over a 3-year period that clubs didn't spend more than they bring in. So at the moment, actually, Newcastle United are quite low down the pecking order on how much they can spend. As Mike actually did a lot of damage over 14 years, he did leave the club, I think, in about £100 million in credit in terms of financial fair play, which is why we've been able to have an initial pot of about £250 million to play with. And over the months and years, that's probably going to change, because we're going to get some sort of sponsorship. And obviously you can't sponsor your own club, so it has to be unconnected to the public investment fund. But we may see, for example, an emerging new Saudi Arabian airline or petrochemical company investing in Newcastle United. But there's quite a beady eye being kept on the big clubs in terms of clubs trying to exploit loopholes. So the future for Newcastle United and the future for Newcastle generally and the Tyneside area over this decade is just phenomenal. This is really exciting times, but all this is going to be carefully managed. If you're one of those supporters in the January transfer window who was stamping your feet and banging your fists and getting confused and bewildered and a bit angry, frustrated that we didn't pay that extra 10, 15 or 20 million pound because we've got the money, just spend it, then you're not on the same page as the club, and you're not on the same page as the strategic view of the Saudi Arabian owners. I don't know if you watched a video I did back in October about St James's Park redevelopment, and I did say in that particular video even then that, make no bones about it, this partnership and arrangement isn't about Newcastle United. This is about Saudi Arabia, and nothing's changed since then. And since I've done all my research, I would reinforce that view. We're going to benefit massively from this investment, and this is an exciting time, but we're not flying this plane, Saudi Arabia are. So what's my advice to Newcastle fans if you're watching this and been a bit confused as to the situation with the club ownership? I would say dial down your expectations. This is a long-term, carefully managed portfolio project. That's Newcastle United. Even if we get relegated, it's a setback, but this is a long-term plan. But buckle yourself in and enjoy the ride, because this is going to be a fantastic and exciting decade for Newcastle United and the city of Newcastle.